Hi, I'm Big Lake. Welcome to the Big Lake channel, Sports Consortium, and today we're going to talk about who got paid on Friday. Let's observe. It's basketball talk because it's basketball time. So, the Warriors re-signed their defensive anchor and best passer, who averaged 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in 73 games for the Warriors last season. Not the biggest stats in the world, but Draymond Green is truly the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors. They managed to clear cap space for Draymond after discarding Jordan Poole to the Wizards. He is joining Kyle Kuzma in Washington, and Kyle Kuzma also got a big extension yesterday. Kyle Kuzma got a 4-year, $102 million extension. Kyle Kuzma averaged 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists in 64 games for Washington, and he made another leap and showed that he can be the number 1 scorer on his team. That's also why Washington traded Blc.Sportsconsortium to the Celtics, clearing the cap space to acquire Jordan Poole in that trade for Chris Paul and Landry Shamet. Now, I believe that was a bad trade for the Warriors, but they wanted to re-sign Draymond, and I suppose they couldn't bring both of them back in the locker room. But it's going to be a weird fit with Chris Paul backing up Steph Curry. Rivals. Chris Paul on the Golden State Warriors. I'm not sure if I believe it or how that's going to work out, but that's going to be interesting. So, I'll be interested to see what the Wizards have in store next season. But in my opinion, if Jordan Poole is going to be able to take that next step to being the second best player or the best player on the Wizards, he's going to have to learn how to take better shots. Not to take the fanciest shot, but to locate the best shot on the floor. He is a very streaky shooter, and I think if he was just a little bit more patient, then he would be a more consistent player. Now, he was a great 6-man with the Warriors, and honestly, I think it was a bad trade for the Warriors. But of course, you know, it is what it is. They made Draymond the priority, and that's what happened. Congratulations to the former Wichita State Shocker, Fred VanVleet. In 69 games with the Raptors, he averaged 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. And he will take his talents to Houston, Texas. The Rockets gave him a 3-year, $130 million contract. And I can't say that this addresses the Rockets' needs. In my opinion, they already had enough guards on that team. They've got Jalen Green and Kevin Porter in the backcourt. To me, they didn't really need another guard. So, Fred is going to be making around $43 million a year for the next 3 seasons. We'll see how that works out in Houston next season. But I don't think that's enough to elevate the Rockets at this point. We'll see what they do for the rest of this offseason. And so, entering his 5th season, the former Iowa State Cyclone, Tyrese Halliburton, gets a 5-year, $260 million extension. The Pacers paid him $260 million. And so, he played 56 games, 20 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 10 assists for the Pacers. He's put up plenty of production since coming into the league. In his 4th season, on his second team, originally coming from Sacramento, in that trade from Sacramento, Indiana swapped out Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton, and a move a lot of people couldn't understand at the time. But apparently, it's worked out pretty good for Sacramento so far. They were the 3 seed last season, and who knows what Sacramento will do next season. But what can I say? I think this is a pretty good contract for the Pacers. Tyrese has shown that he can be the leader on that team, and he's put up the production. Like I said, 20 points and 10 assists. That's pretty good. That's not a bad contract for a 4-year player. He can only rise and get better. What can I say? I think it was a solid deal. And so, Desmond Bane, the best shooter on the Grizzlies, got $207 million. A 5-year extension for him. Now, he played in 58 games for the Grizzlies last season. Averaged 21 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. He's obviously the best shooter on the Grizzlies. And he was out for about 24 games for an injury that I couldn't quite remember. But they're going to need his production, with John Morant being out the first 25 games with that suspension. Hopefully, he won't be playing with his weapon on Instagram anymore. I really recommend that he keeps it in his pocket. Don't set the money on fire, Joe. Be smart. Keep it tucked away in your pocket. And so, I also have to say that I think the Grizzlies made a power move by getting Marcus Smart to replace Dillon Brooks in the backcourt. Now they have 2 top 5 defensive players on their team. Jaren Jackson Jr. and now Marcus Smart, the former OSU Cowboy. He's following pretty much the same path as Tony Allen. OSU Cowboy, Boston Celtic, and a Memphis Grizzly. Just like Tony Allen. What can I say? Years go by, and history repeats itself. But I feel really good about the Grizzlies next season. I think they should be able to get past the second round. Well, the first round with that team. And they'll have a better chance at beating the Lakers next season if they do match up against them in the playoffs. So I feel really good about what they have going on Beale Street. And so Jeremy Grant gets a 5-year, $160 million extension with the Portland Trail Blazers. Jeremy Grant put up just above 20 points per game in 62 games for the Blazers. I wonder if his role is going to change a little bit next season with Scoot Henderson coming onto the scene. I believe Damian Lillard will still be there next season, considering a trade hasn't happened yet. I think if he was going anywhere, it would have already happened. But we'll see if Portland is able to rebuild a playoff contender next season and get Damian Lillard a little bit closer to a championship. We'll see about that next season. And Chris Middleton re-signs with the Bucks. 3 years, $102 million. Chris Middleton, Giannis' sidekick. I say that because he's really been there the longest with the Bucks through the bad times and the good times. This was an appropriate contract for him. The Bucks need Chris Middleton on that team. Even though you could argue that Drew Holiday is the second best player on that team, I'd probably agree with you. But they needed to re-sign him. And we'll see what the Bucks do next season with their new coach after replacing Mike Budenholzer. Now, Mike Budenholzer, he doesn't play on the court, but he was falling asleep at the wheel during the playoffs against Miami. And I'm curious to see if Brook Lopez will return to the Bucks or not next season. Now, Brook Lopez has been in the league a long time, but he looked really good in the playoffs against Miami. Had a couple 30-point games against Miami. There are rumors that the Rockets might be willing to bring him in, but I'm not quite sure. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Bucks are able to bring him back. And finally, Kyrie Irving re-signs with the Dallas Mavericks. 3 years, $126 million. Now, Kyrie puts up the production worthy of this contract. Obviously, him and Luka pretty much do the same things. And I think he works well as a sidekick with Luka. But the problem is on the defensive side for the Mavericks. Now, they acquired Richaun Holmes from Sacramento. He'll probably be the backup center, if not a starter next season. And they also re-signed Seth Curry for the third time. This will be his third stint with the Dallas Mavericks. And of course we know he used to play with Luka on the Mavericks back in 2020 it was. And he played with Kyrie in Brooklyn. So, obviously, I'm pretty excited about that as a Mavericks fan. Getting Seth Curry back on the team, in my opinion, they should have never let him go in free agency because he puts up great production. He's a great shooter. And what can I say? The guy hustles. He's not Steph, but he is a really good bench player. Very reliable. Thank you for watching the Big Lake Channel Sports Consortium. Please follow the Big Lake Channel on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and please check out our Spotify playlist. Have a beautiful and safe 4th of July weekend. If you plan on popping fireworks, please keep a water hose near you. Don't burn nothing down. And make sure to drink plenty of water. And once again, if the sun is shining where you are, go outside in the sun. And if the sun is not shining where you are, I hope the rain is on your side. Thank you so much. Goodbye.